today. Jim, that was a fantastic introduction. I don't know why Amazon isn't utilizing you as the promo voice for this show in all of their trailer drops and anything related to Reacher moving forward. That was fantastic.
Cheers. I try my best.
Yeah, so, dude, an extraordinary opportunity, honestly. Yes, for anybody. But fortunate enough in this particular case, after a couple of seasons of auditioning for the show and uh, having very close calls and landing different roles from season one through three, it finally clicked in season four. So the team was very aware of who I was by the time I had auditioned for season four, and I had actually auditioned for a couple of different roles, and fortunately for me, Foster just turned out to be just, I think perhaps one of the best roles, one of the most fun roles that I have had in my 30 plus years of doing this. With, as you've already indicated, just an extraordinary cast. But the second that the opportunity presented itself, in this lovely self-tape market, had documented the work, and obviously it landed me here.
You mentioned that, Dean. Obviously, you're a fan of the show, and you knew of the importance that you kept trying to come back and land a major role on this. In terms of doing your research, did you really invest in terms of reading the Lee Child's novels, in terms of getting to know that sort of universe? And had you a fair idea before you dare I say, tried out for season four of what the current season was going to be about, or had you any idea?
Well, Jim, I just feel that after that insanely epic close to season three with the Dutch giant and, Reacher overcoming the most insurmountable of physical beings on the face of the planet, that clearly everybody was looking for somebody to be one step above that in this 5'7", 175-pound guy, which I thought was kind of funny in context of the juxtaposition of these two kind of antagonistic figures for Alan to come up against. But yes, look, I was familiar with the show. I've been watching, obviously seen the feature originally. I have not read the novels. I've seen seasons one through three, and was very familiar with the genre, the tone, the accommodation of action and drama and stakes, and most importantly, I think that sense of humor that is very unique to this particular show. And going into any edition, you want to have a level of familiarity associated with what the show has already defined in context of audience expectation. And you go in there understanding cadence and rhythm and tone, pacing, all of those other specifics that meet a very specific criteria. So I did feel strongly equipped to enter into this process with an understanding of what the narrative was on the page, what the story was on the page, and ultimately what people were looking for. So and clearly, again, here we are.
Yeah. And I suppose, Dean, I know you won't want to give too much away, but can you enlighten us a bit about Foster and where he fits into this universe in terms of season four?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm happy to share a little bit in the sense of, um, this is a character that I very early on in the process equated to a character in what is going to seem like a real stretch of a reference in context of Reacher. But I'm sure you're familiar with the classic Monty Python movies.
Yes.
And there was a lovely film, The Quest for the Holy Grail, which really, in watching it, it's not really a laugh out loud movie, but it's only in reference and in hindsight that it is forever quotable, that you laugh more so outside of the experience of watching it, just thinking about the absurdity of the things that you just seen. more so than you are when you're going along that journey. But there's a really wonderful there's a really wonderful scene that happens early on in the movie where Arthur is assembling his crew to go on this crazy quest, and they come across the Black Knight. And the Black Knight is in the middle of a crazy battle and defeats his foe. And Arthur approaches him about joining this crew, this ragtag of knights, for this quest for the Holy Grail. And he doesn't respond to Arthur. And so, as disappointed as he is, he goes to cross this bridge. And of course, the knight says, "No one shall pass." And it then ends up being this confrontation between the Black Knight and Arthur. That you know what happens next, of course, right, Jim?
I'm trying to remember now. It's a long time since I've seen Monty Python, so I'm just trying to remember all the John Cleese classics because John Cleese, first thing that comes into my mind when I think of John Cleese is Basil Fawlty, so I'm just trying to get that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
let me refresh your memory.
yeah.
So the battle starts, and it's kind of Arthur. It's the Black Knight. It's Arthur. It's the Black Knight. Then it's Arthur, and he cuts the guy's arm off. And he thinks that the battle is over. And of course, the knight continues to fight with the famous line, "It's just a flesh wound." And then, of course, shortly thereafter, the other arm is taken off, the Black Knight. And then the leg, and then the other leg. And he's left there on the ground as this torso, yelling after Arthur that he's going to bite his kneecaps off. Now, why do I share that with you? I share that with you because of its relatability for me in reading these scripts, that Foster, who is not a physically domineering person comparatively to Reacher, to
Yeah.
Alan, he just doesn't know when to stop. And there are loads of scenes that the audience is going to go on this journey and go, why doesn't he just give up? Why doesn't he just take a back seat? There's no way he's going to outsmart. There's no way he's going to beat in any capacity this ginormous stature of a man who has obviously been around the block and has this crazy history. And yet my character is like a dog with a bone. And
He's resilient.
he just can't give it up. And I think in that there is a tremendous amount of comedy, of levity, that it is so ridiculous. Like, as things get worse and they get worse and they get worse for Foster as this show progresses. And I think people are going to look forward to that next encounter. I think people are going to look forward to seeing how absurd that next event actually is. But he's committed to a cause, to a fault, and he is his own worst enemy because he's unable to make an educated determination about a different direction otherwise. And you have to understand that this has its very dark sided humor associated with this character's incorporation in our story.
Dean, obviously you've probably seen clips and you've seen maybe, I don't know if you've seen the first episode yourself. I was speaking to Karen earlier, she hadn't, but obviously Reacher starts with a bang and we're not going to give too much away, but it's very graphic. It's very an emotional sort of sequence to start. It's raw,
Yep.
it's in your face to start the thing. In some ways, it sets the whole season up because now you're thinking to the main showpiece, the event of all events has happened, and dare I say, now how did it come to this? And we're sort of, dare I say, trying to put all the jigsaw pieces together, really,
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than sometimes working the other way towards a crescendo. So it's a different sort of take they've taken.
Yes, no, I mean, all of those things are absolutely correct. What is your question with regards to
Yeah,
it?
and just my question with that is, Dean, in terms of when you saw that, when you heard about that sort of story, where you said, "Oh, that's an interesting way to take on it," or is that a surprise? Where you sort of, and when you looked up and that, oh, I can see why they really went with that angle.
No, I mean, I think that's what's charming about the season, to be quite honest, because I mean, Uh, the last four episodes of this season are quite extraordinary. It's kind of, I think even in one of the taglines, it's like fight everyone, and they have thrown everything, including the kitchen sink, at this guy, and my collection of ragtag CIA dudes are only one group of people after him this season. And it's like he's in the water and he's being pulled down by so many different forces. And the last four episodes really is action packed. I mean, it's hands down the biggest season of the seasons to date when it comes to stunts, when it comes to the enormity of those stunts. And obviously, everyone is tuning in for that action, for that roller coaster ride, for that thrill. But coming back to the question, I think that's part of the charm of the show. I mean, there is exposition required. There are relationships that need to be and characters that need to be defined and established. And if we started big, where do you go from there? I mean, I think we build our foundation, we build the questions, the ambiguity, the mystery, the curiosity as to what this journey is going to be. We establish characters like mine, which is one of many that are after Reacher this season. And then we get into the thing that it's the best payoff of that patience of getting into this story and realizing that there is dramatic storytelling here. There are weighted themes, as you've referenced, that are dealt with in a way that is very visceral and very real and very relatable in so many ways. So I think that we build the world and then we have some fun. And it is the best payoff for the patients on that journey, as far as I'm concerned.
Dean Armstrong, before we came on air, you mentioned that you're currently in filming and production at the moment. What's life like for you at this present time?
Well, right now, we find this conversation in Seattle, Washington. And yes, we are. When I say we, my daughter is also in this industry, and she is filming a movie here. And when I am given the grace of time in my schedule, I love to be there to support her on that journey as well. It's kind of a cool thing to share with your kid, very special. And we're here till the end of the month and back in Los Angeles for a whole series of other projects for both her and I.
Okay. And Dean Armstrong, I do believe you've visited the Emerald Isle once or twice.
Just once.
Once.
Yes, and
Yes.
and and I have to get back. It was a short trip. But so again, action packed. Getting used to driving on the other side of the road was fun and exciting. But we had flown into Dublin, and we decided to head south by way of a rental car and traveled through Cork and all of these other extraordinary coastal towns and cities, and ended up staying in the very illustrious Ashford Castle, seeing the Cliffs of Moher, which were maybe a 10-minute drive from there. Honestly, one of the best trips of my life. And, I've been really fortunate to see a lot of the world through work. And I think it's almost one of the best ways to see the world, because you are there for a period of time. You're acclimating with communities, within communities, getting to see the day to day of people's lives while in your crazy schedule. But Ireland was one of those trips that was personal, in a window that I had to also get a little sense of my family's history as well. And a return visit is long overdue. So maybe next time I'm there, you can do me the honors of either defining a trip for me on paper or maybe showing me some of your favorite places where you are.
And no doubt indeed. Dean Armstrong, I'm going to turn it over to you now for the final 30 seconds. You might enlighten all our audience, all our listeners, why they should tune in if they've been hiding in hibernation for the last few months or so, why they should tune in to Prime, to Reacher Season 4, and when they do, sir, what's in store for them?
Yeah, listen, today's a big day for all of us, for all of you fans of this show. I love that this season is happening way sooner than a lot of second, third, fourth seasons of other franchises. So I think that that's exciting for folks. I mean, right now, you've got Neely coming out as well. Season 5 of Reacher is currently shooting, and that is going to be in the not too distant horizon. I'm sure a lot of you have been into the theater to see Motor City, to see Alan, and again, another extraordinary role. This guy is honestly the Arnold Schwarzenegger of this generation. He is an action hero. He's got an incredible sense of humor. He defines the stage and the work environment for all of these incredible artists to be able to share Lee Child's extraordinary this franchise, Reacher. And if you want laughs, if you want action, you want drama, and you want it all at the same time, this is hands down the best ticket in town.